And welcome back to the Hot Lap. I think it's time that we talk about George Russell's future. All these rumours, is George Russell going to sign? Rumours about him signing and it being announced at Silverstone. Has he already signed? Rumours about Max Verstappen now in advanced talk with Mercedes? Yeah, what's going on? And here we go. This is obviously Toto Wolff about to talk about Max Verstappen, but let's rewind and seeing, is this the future of Mercedes next year? Will Max Verstappen sign for the German three-pointed star team? Well, potentially, as we know, they may have the best car next year. They may certainly have the best engine. At least that's rumoured to be, and a lot of people are betting on Mercedes again, just like in the terms from 2013 to 2014, to have the best engine. But will they have the best car? The car currently leading the championship and dominating the Constructors' Championship is McLaren with the Mercedes engine that have done a car better than Mercedes, so never say never. But let's talk about Max Verstappen. All these rumours, I guess in a way Max has kind of got nothing to lose because they're keeping Kimi Antonelli and his nemesis on track, his enemy, George Russell, will then be gone. But then would George go to Red Bull? There are rumours he could go to Aston Martin. But I'm not sure that Max would be a really good fit, in my opinion, a really good fit at Mercedes. I don't think that's going to be the case. Anyway, this is Martin Brundle talking to Toto Wolff, because as we know, Toto Wolff already couldn't sign Max Verstappen back in the days when it was
as a junior driver.
If he scared myself, it's so loud. It was so loud in my ears. Okay,
Max Verstappen slipped through your fingers as a junior driver. If he was on the market again, you wouldn't miss him a second time, would you?
No, I wouldn't say that. You know, I.
Now, what Martin Brundle means is that last time out, Max Verstappen was potentially could have been in contract to Mercedes, but as I was trying to say before I interrupted and scared myself, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg were contracted to Mercedes. They were the Mercedes team, and at that time, would you really want to put a junior driver in Mercedes, which is the only option Mercedes had? It probably would have been too much of a risk. I mean, when you look at it, Max went to Toro Rosso first before he went to Red Bull. So they had to pass in it. They didn't have any other team like Red Bull, because Red Bull had the Red Bull Junior team, Toro Rosso.
I always say I don't flirt outside if I'm happy in the relationship.
And this was this year.
But on a professional level, I'm super happy with the lineup we have. I couldn't wish for anything better. And Max is at Red Bull. We haven't had a conversation. We're continuing our trajectory.
Max Verstappen.
They have had conversations. Believe you in me, those two have most certainly had conversations, I think, because Max, yeah, I mean, as we all know, contract...
Your fingers as a junior.
As we all know, contracts mean absolutely nothing. But now, if we rewind back to the end of last year, he appeared on the High Performance podcast. This is just a clip, links are in the description, which I thought was quite interesting, about why he didn't sign Max Verstappen last year. So let's have a gander, shall we?
I thought you were going to sign Max Verstappen purely because it would feel similar for people.
Yeah,
a multiple world champion to another multiple world champion.
You know, we get on very well, not always in the visibility of the public eye. I've known Jos for a long time. He's my age. We have similar views on racing, and I wouldn't want the year 2021 put any shadow on any, personal relationship that we have.
I kind of get that really, because 2021 was really nasty. It was nasty between Red Bull and Mercedes, even though the decision wasn't, well, actually, you could blame Christian Horner for elevating that decision by Michael Massey, but it was very much Michael Massey that made that decision, and the championship was stolen from Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, it was bad enough that year, but yeah, the relationships are intact.
See, it's that smile there, basically saying, yeah, never say never, even though he said he doesn't fly outside, he's happy. Now, why Max wouldn't be a good fit? Why Max, this guy, would not be a good fit for Mercedes? Simply because Mercedes is very much a two-car team. Yes, you can turn around and go, well, what about Bottas? He had to let Lewis Hamilton win, but that was at the point that, let's be fair, Bottas was not going to win the championship, and he was and at the time, Hamilton was in a very close fight with Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel. Now, with Rosberg, it very much was even Stevens, as it is with Mercedes, I think, with Kimi Antonelli and George Russell, even Stevens, as it is at McLaren. Now, in Red Bull, after Daniel Ricciardo left, it became really pretty much Max's team. He's used to having the number one on the car. It reminds me very much of Michael Schumacher at Benetton, with that really, really interesting quote from Johnny Herbert: "I was just there to drive the other car," and that's exactly what Tsunoda, Perez, Lawson for 2 races had basically been doing. Now, you put Max Verstappen into a team where it's even against the Kimi Antonelli, who's, yeah, he's good and, could get stronger, is used to the car. He could beat Max Verstappen. Now, yes, I said could. Unlikely, but he could. As much as Lewis Hamilton beat Fernando Alonso in his rookie year, it could that scenario could happen. That will really unease Max. And also, if you remember, Max has only been successful in one car. He never won on the Toro Rosso, did he? And he's only won in that Red Bull car, which is designed around him. The Mercedes is not designed around him. Now, one thing that Sebastian Vettel, and funny enough, Lewis Hamilton has had difficulties with these new generation of cars. And Sebastian Vettel had difficulty once his blown diffuser era was over when he went to Ferrari. He was very good still, and the Ferrari car was very good at times, better than the Mercedes, especially in 2017 and 2018 at times. But would Max Verstappen then struggle in the Mercedes, which he's not used to? Yes, every amazing driver will end up adapting, but it's a but. We don't know. So, when we look at George Russell's stats, I mean, he's had 1 win in Canada. He's had 1 pole in Canada as well. 6 podiums and no DNFs. And Canada was his first win of 2025. He dominated from pole, basically, which, yeah, absolutely he did. But if we continue on that stat front, we've got the Australian Grand Prix, qualified 3rd, finished 3rd. Chinese Grand Prix, qualified 2nd, finished 3rd. Japanese Grand Prix, qualified 5th, finished 5th. Bahrain Grand Prix, 3rd, finished 2nd. Saudi Arabia, qualified 3rd, finishing 5th. But he's a master of the podium. Miami Grand Prix, qualified 5th, finished 3rd. Emilia-Romagna, not particularly great, qualified 3rd, finished 7th. Monaco, yeah, let's not talk about Monaco. Spanish Grand Prix, started 4th, finished 4th. Canadian Grand Prix, 1st and 1st. He's been, I think, when you put the consideration of his car, one of the MVPs, most valued players, or most valued drivers, if you will, in relation to Mercedes. And he will, I imagine, he's still getting better. Now, he's going to cost a lot less than Max Verstappen. He doesn't come with an entourage like Max Verstappen does, of Max, like with his father, etc. Jos Verstappen, which could damage the equilibrium in the Mercedes garage. And no one, all the Mercedes mechanics have said, no one wants to go back to those days when it was Lewis Hamilton in one corner, Nico Rosberg in another. No one does. But that could happen with Max Verstappen. And George Russell, is he millions and tens of millions of pounds worse than Max Verstappen? Absolutely not. In fact, I think if Max Verstappen joined him and he replaced Kimi, I don't think Max Verstappen would have it all his way. Yes, he might ultimately beat George over a season, but I think we're talking Daniel Ricciardo peak levels of performance compared between Max and George. Would be very much like Max's first and second years at Red Bull. This is what George, interestingly, had to say as well when they're talking about contracts.
Yeah, don't know.
How are talks going with Toto then, or are they
How
going?
to?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no major updates as yet. It's not something that I'm pressing massively because, as I've always said, the performance is the priority. And
and as we discussed, he knows his performance. He knows he has done absolutely everything he can.
I feel with the performance I'm showing at the moment, still in line with the performance I've shown over all these years, I've got zero reasons to be worried, but obviously it does help if there was, pen on paper. But yeah, let's see.
Why do you get giggly when people ask you about the contract situation?
So you get giggly?
Giggly. There's a little sort of giggle and a little sort of
What is that?
eye. Is it because it's already done and you're hiding it from us?
No, it's not done.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Giggly.
Oh.
Busted.
Okay.
But you said it would help if you had pen to paper. So why don't you just go and have a little knock on Toto's door?
Because
That's an interesting
it's not
question.
really, like I don't need to chase because I
Because he thinks he's that good, maybe? I don't know.
feel that I'm doing a good job. It goes both ways. It's sort of
Yeah,
I
it does.
need them, they need me, and it's sort of
Fair enough.
that's how it goes. And Mercedes are so ambitious; they want to be back on top. They need to understand and think how are they going to bring Mercedes back on top. You need to have.
Now, I know George was saying this, but let's be honest. He's kind of teasing, they want to chase me. If Toto said here's a 2-year contract, he's going to sign it. Absolutely. Simply because he knows, along with us, like it brings us back to the beginning of the video, that Mercedes is going to be the strongest team probably in 2026. At the very least, they're going to have the strongest engine, along with any other Mercedes engine. And the rules have changed, and it may well feel very much like 2013 into 2014. We're going to have to see that, I guess. So if you made it to the end, you're absolutely amazing. Give us a subscribe if you are not subscribed. If you are, hit that like button. It's going to make us smile a lot. But until then, it is an F1 weekend. It is a rally weekend as well. If you're into a rally, it's the rally of the gods in Greece. It's Formula 1 in Austria. We'll speak to you soon. Stay safe. Thank you very much.